Hey, what's up, guys? Just now getting on here. Gonna see if anybody's gonna join us. Looks like we got one person. Welcome, welcome. Good to see y'all. Today I'm gonna be talking about what networking is. We're gonna define the definition of networking, and I'm gonna share a little bit of my tips on how I think what some good ideas are on how to network. So, I don't have anybody on YouTube yet, but it looks like Instagram, everybody's here, so that's good. Good to have y'all here. Hope you're ready to learn something. All right, well, I'll go ahead and get started so those that watch later will not have to wait very long. We'll be doing a Q&A at the end of this, about the last 5 minutes or so. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments. Kayla will filter through them and ask me those at the end of this video. All right, so what is the definition of networking? The definition is the action or process of interacting with others, as in fellowship, going to church, going to the bar, going to any kind of event to interact with other human beings, to exchange information and develop professional or social contacts. So a couple of things to remember. Networking it's to collect contacts, not job leads. I want to make that clear. Networking is to collect contacts. Go out and meet people. Start building relationships. Even if it's through online, we'll get to that here in a little bit. Not job leads. Those contacts can either be, they can be both professional and or social contacts. But that is what networking is, and I think that's fascinating myself. I never knew what the definition of networking was until here recently, because we've been talking about it a lot. But that's why I think it's so important to know what networking is and to utilize it to your advantage in this line of work. Look at my notes here. So I really want to hit on this, that networking is not to get job leads. The quicker you get that out of your head when it comes to this industry, the better off you'll be. We've launched a community page, the Inner Circle, last week, and I wanted to go ahead and throw that in here. Kayla will put a link in the description of this video, right?
I'll put it in the comments.
Okay, so she'll put a link in the comments for the Inner Circle if you want to join the Inner Circle, because it is a good place to go to start building your network. We've got somebody in there right now, at least one person, if not more, that I know is 2 years out from ever trying to get a pipeline job. And I think that is the smartest thing in the world, because the relationship should come before the job. I know it's hard in this line of work to get that mindset, because whenever in this line of work you want a job, you want a chance, so you tend to jump the gun and you try to just call somebody and ask for a job instead of building a relationship. But I promise you, if you try this networking, it will pay off in the long run. But you have to think of it like a long-term game. Make sure I'm not getting ahead of myself here. Whenever you are reaching for jobs, when you're just looking for job leads, you act out of desperation. You're not sincere, as to where whenever you're networking, whenever you're meeting people and keeping in touch with people, you're showing that you're not being selfish. It's not just about you. You're focused on how they're doing. How's their life doing? I think today's day and age, we tend to be me, just because it's a fast-paced world. We're trying to get things done, and patience has kind of gone far, and it's hard to have patience nowadays because the world's moving faster. But you don't want to act out of desperation. You want to act out of sincerity. You want people to answer your calls. Whenever you're acting desperate and just calling for jobs, people are going to quit answering your phone calls. they're just not going to be as receptible, if that's a word, receptible to that. So we want to focus on not being fake. We want to focus on building relationships and being a friend to somebody. You can stay busy. I mentioned this in my Instagram story the other day, but you can stay more busy off of just having 3 good friends in the industry that are weld bosses, or even that are just welders or whatever, that turn into weld bosses in the future. That's another thing, you know. Those of you that are starting out all at the same time, I've got friends that I've known the whole time I've been doing this, and the older we all get and the more jobs we get on, there's a chance that one of your good friends that you've been friends with for a while and you've kept in touch with them, you've showed that you care, that they could become a weld boss someday, but it might have taken 3 or 4 years. That's why you got to start working on building relationships, and because that's going to go a lot further for the long-term game of being in this industry. Not to mention it's just bad business, not good on your character. So how to network? How do you network? What are some ways we can network? Well, it's easier than ever before. Even just 7 years ago, whenever I started, or 10 years ago, whenever I was trying to just rig weld, not even get into the pipeline industry, social media wasn't as hot and heavy as it is today. And those of you that are 18 years old, even some that might be my age, you know, we all come by it honest, you know, because there was social media whenever I was 18. But if you're 16 or around that age, I don't know. I'm not trying to put an actual age on it, because it all depends on your experience and what all you've experienced in your life. But it helps if you realize how good you have it and to take advantage of social media. It hasn't always been around. Those of us that are doing this today, that are my age or older, I would say, or if you're younger but you were raised a little different, we had to fight more to get our jobs. You know, we had to go out in person and network in person. We just had to do it the hard way. You have it easy. So anyway, there's 2 different ways. You can obviously in person or online. In person is always great. I think it's better. There's something about that connection of being in person that you have with somebody. You're more within reach. Like if they actually need somebody, you're right there. So, and there's just, like I said, there's just that connection. The more you can be more real with somebody in person, they can tell whether you're being sincere, how sincere you are, not to mention how serious you are because you're there in person. Coffee this time instead of water. Gives me motivation. Tastes like coffee. Online, it's a little bit harder to network online, but you can do it. I would suggest you have to be more sincere if you're going to do it online. An easy example for me, I would rather get a comment on any of my platforms that says, just something general, like thanks for the videos, or I've learned a lot from your videos. I know it's a long shot, but do you happen to know of anything? Just those little words, the way you put them words, you know, just showing that you're not being selfish. You know, having gratitude goes a long way, and just showing those kind of things whenever you're reaching out to people online. You know, just put yourself in their shoes. Picture somebody messaging you. You don't know. You don't have their number. You have no idea. You don't even have a face to put with it, or a random phone call. Hey, do you need a welder? What do you think the response is going to be, you know? So it's being more genuine, you know, being thoughtful about how you approach people online. I'd rather get a comment like that, more respectful comment, than, hey, where's the work at? Or, hey, you know anybody hiring? Like, I don't know you, you know? There's just no relationship there, you know? Build relationships first, you know? Put that in your head, you know? Think of it, relationships come before jobs. So, let's see. So I pretty much touched on being selfish. You know, people can sniff you out whenever you're being selfish. You know, they can tell when you're calling about just yourself. I would rather not. I don't even like cold calling people. I've done it. I've done that in the past, but I hate it. I do not like cold calling people. I've talked to older guys that will not cold call people. They will not go to a job if they don't get called to go to the job, pretty much, because they feel selfish by doing that. And that makes sense why I didn't like it. I done it because I was desperate, right? But even then, I didn't even push very hard. I was like, yeah, my name's Austin Ross. I'm a welder. Sometimes I'd forget to mention I was a welder, and I felt like an idiot, you know, like, are you a welder or helper? I'm like, didn't even mention that. But anyway, I just felt it wasn't even. I didn't even push as hard because I felt bad. As to where if you have substance, try to have some substance whenever you call somebody. Some of you might struggle with being shy. Believe it or not, I am a very shy individual. It's something that I've wanted to get better at, which is why I enjoy YouTube. It has helped with that a lot, but I used to be a very, very shy. I was shy growing up, all the way through high school. Looking back, I missed out on tons of opportunities being shy in high school, you know? So I would encourage you to reach out and try not to be as shy. But anyway, I want to share, well, yeah, I guess I'll share. I got an email from somebody this week that said they were wanting help getting into the pipeline industry, and they structural weld right now. And he welded on supports that for underneath the pipe. And he asked if I had any tips, or asked if that was still a good job to have. And I said, absolutely. I said, you're on the brink of getting a pipeline job if you're that close. You know, there's got to be welders around that weld on the pipe, you know. And he said, yeah, there is. There's guys that work here, you know, that weld on pipe. He said, I just don't know how to approach them, you know. I don't know how to ask them to help me. And I said, well, I would definitely encourage you to go, you know, ask them, you know, if they can help you on the weekends or whatever. Reach out to them. You don't even have to do very much. Just let them know you're interested in pipe welding and see what happens. He texted me that next day, or emailed me that next day, and said, hey, thank you for your advice. I'm glad that you told me. I'm glad you gave him the courage to reach out to him, because he said he'll help me every other weekend. And that just like, that hit me right here, because that's where it's at, you know. I'm glad I could help. But it was just a small thing that he did. It was that little leap of courage that he needed. And I was so glad to be able to tell him that. But it's crazy, you know, what opportunity could be right around the corner if you just get out of your shell a little bit. It's hard to do, but it's going to benefit you long term if you work on being social, reaching out to people, but being respectful. I want to touch on that too, like being respectful. Respectful is key. I guess I've kind of already covered it from what I've talked about. But so some bullet points I've got here is kind of some things I've touched on, but build relationships, find common ground, ask questions about, do you like hunting? Do you like fishing? And if you have something in common, you'd be surprised. You guys would be friends just like that. And I don't mean find fake things to have in common with somebody. I mean literally ask questions, and then once you find something in common, that's a relationship that just sparked, and you might talk to that person for, from then on out. So build relationships, find common ground, be positive, don't gossip. Gossip isn't good for nobody. No matter what you're going through, don't trash nobody. Be supportive. If you need support, be supportive. People are more than willing to be supportive. They just or have respect, like the older generation. The reason some people don't give respect because they're not getting respect. So if you just come out of the gate being respectful, chances are they're going to be respectful back to you. Be honest, transparent, and be vulnerable. I talk about that a lot too. I think there's something to being as honest as you can and opening up to people, asking questions, sharing your life, but mostly asking questions about the other person, show them that you truly are concerned and curious about what they're going through. Listen. It's a good one. Listen, use them ears more than you use that mouth, because that goes a long way. I've learned a lot just by having a YouTube channel. Just today I've learned something about networking, just reading the definition of networking. And that just comes from listening, and dive in deep to less instead of looking for more, because you can get so much out of very little. Hope that makes sense. But yeah, listen, don't preach. People will be more than willing to share information with you, and the more humble and quiet you are, and ask questions. Don't let them know what you know. Just ask questions. Be curious, and you'd be surprised how much people open up and share with you. Follow up, check in on people, ask how they're doing. Keep up with people. Whenever you meet somebody on a job, keep up with them. Call them a couple weeks after you get laid off. Call them, see how they're doing, see where they're at. Call them when you're working. Don't call them just when you need a job. Just stay in touch with people. Find people that you want to be around, that you want to surround yourself with, because then that's going to motivate you to call them. Don't call them just to call them, to be staying in touch with them so you get a job later. Like, be sincere. Like I said, be sincere and vulnerable, and search for people that you want to be around. That way you're motivated to call them. Conversate, respond in ways that leave future communication open. As in, if you're talking to them on the phone and they say something about their kid's baseball game they're going to that night, say, all right, well, I'll let you go. And the next time you call them, ask how the baseball game went. Text them later, see how it went, meet in person whenever possible. Meeting in person, once you've known each other long enough and you feel like you can meet in person or whatever, meeting in person is huge, just like I mentioned earlier. There's something about being in person that's just way more valuable, But you can be just as valuable if you try hard enough online, as you do in person. Just try not to be selfish. That's huge. That's one thing Kayla and I have learned over the past few years, is just not being selfish. Not even that we were trying to begin with, but like I said, it's a fast-paced world. We tend to be selfish individuals. And if you can focus on not being selfish as much as you can, dive deep into that and do not be selfish. Think of what others need before yourself. You'd be surprised how far that goes. Offer up help and everything like that. So I hope this has helped you guys with networking. I know it's helped me. I love it. I absolutely love learning, and it's helped me a bunch. So do we have any questions?
I just put a call out for questions. We might mention it so people can.
Okay, Kayla just said Q&A will start soon. So now I'll take any questions. About networking, of course.
And the inner circle.
Do you have any questions about networking or the inner circle that we just launched?
Go ahead next.
Yeah, the inner circle is a place that, it's a social network that Kayla and I have created. Kayla done 90% of the work. A place for motivated rig welders, pipeliners, and their families. A place where you can go to grow personally and professionally. I feel like I'm talking off a script, but that's because I've said a lot, but that's what it is. It's a place for like-minded people, people just like you and I. There's seasoned pipeliners. There's people that, like I said, that are in there that don't plan on pipelining for a while, but they're in there already starting their network. It's a place you can go to share your struggles or ask questions without all the noise of regular social medias like Facebook and YouTube or anything else. It's a place you can go that's safe, I guess, that's surrounded with like-minded people. So we're real excited about it. We think it's really going to benefit people. It already is benefiting people. And as a young rig welder, do old-timers... What?
Did you mention the special meeting?
No, I did not mention the special. We have a special going on. What is today, Wednesday?
It's tomorrow. Ends tomorrow.
Right. Today's Wednesday. We have a special going on that we did to kick this thing off. It's a 40% off of the annual membership. We done that, like I said, to kick this thing off. We won't ever have this deal ever again, but it ends tomorrow night, August 29th, 2019, Thursday night.
Okay, Matthew has a good question.
Take advantage of the deal. It's a real good deal.
What is the long-term goal for the inner circle? Initially, I know it's to help networking, but long-term, is it the same?
The long-term, yes. I would say so. I'm actually curious to see what's going to happen. And we think of it like a mastermind. Those of you may not be familiar with masterminds, but mastermind is just getting together that think getting together with people that think just like you and want to grow personally and professionally. So you literally gain knowledge all the time, literally bouncing ideas off people, asking questions that you struggle with, them questions that you might have asked somebody, you've been following somebody on YouTube for a long time, and maybe their YouTube channel's gotten so big where they don't get through all the comments, or they miss your comment, when you reach out to them on Instagram or Facebook, and you don't get no answers. Well, this group, this is not only will you get answers from me, but you're going to get answers from other people that have different stories that you can relate to. So it's like a huge mastermind. So I think it's great for long term. Like I said, if you're not pipelining yet, but you want to pipeline, it's a good place to be, because we got probably 80% future pipeliners in there. But there's rig welders, people that have been in there welding for 6 years, structural welding for 6 years, people that have been in there pipelining for several years. My brother's in there. He's been pipelining for 10 plus years. And you can get to know them and ask them questions and socialize, ask their advice,
And the personal development stuff, did you mention that?
Oh yeah, we're gonna do monthly challenges to help you grow personally. Like Kayla and I have taken a couple of courses and been involved in masterminds or whatever that we have learned. How Kayla and I have got to where we are is because of the stuff that we plan on passing on to the people in the inner circle. Just challenges and stuff. What do you call them? Challenges and exercises.
Challenges. They'll be a little bit different each month, but
right. But just to help you dive deep into yourself and just realize what kind of potential you have as an individual.
Or get to the root cause of something that's holding you back.
Right. I don't know if you heard that, but getting to the root cause of something that might be holding you back. Because there's a lot of things, we were all raised, not all of us, we were all raised different, but a lot of people that are in this industry were raised like me, raised with little or nothing or whatever, raised with very little, and we have this shortage mindset, and one of the things we want to try to teach people is to dive deep into what their thoughts are, what's holding them back, which is your thoughts to me.
Okay, somebody has a good question. I'm not for sure if they mean in the inner circle or in pipeline in general, but they asked, are seasoned guys accepting to greenhorns?
Yes. Seasoned guy, in the inner circle, most likely?
I'm not for sure if they're talking about on the job or in the inner circle.
So either way, whether it's in the inner circle you're asking about or on the job, are seasoned welders accepting to green guys? I have had 98% of positive feedback from seasoned pipeliners. I think you get out what you put in, whether it's in person or in the inner circle. If you're again asking, if you're showing curiosity about somebody, or yes, I think it depends on your attitude towards that person. But if you have a good attitude and you're willing to learn, you're going to get good feedback from 90% of the people that you meet. At least I have. I've met a lot of great people that have taught me a lot because I've been willing to learn and ask questions. You got to ask questions, so reach out and ask questions. You'd be surprised what they will tell you.
Somebody on YouTube asked, is the inner circle a good place to talk about setting up my rig to switch to pipe?
Is YouTube a good place?
Is the inner circle a good place?
Oh, I thought you said YouTube.
They're watching on YouTube.
Oh,
Wow,
I got you.
sorry.
Yes, we have people in there already asking about. There was a question there the other day. Somebody asked, "What do you suggest, a diesel or a gas burner for a welding truck?" Yes, it's a real good place. That's the kind of stuff that's going on in there. Just that stuff is going on. Talking about pulling campers. What do you suggest pulling a camper? Those of you that have been doing a while, do you suggest this? Do you suggest that? That is the exact stuff that's going on in the inner circle. That would be great place to be for that. Just have to have an email.
Let me find some more. Let's see here.
Where are y'all watching from? while I'm waiting. Texas. What part of Texas?
We got a few guys on from Odessa.
Right on. Washington State. It's all the way. Orla, Texas. All right. Austin, Texas. How about you, Austin, Texas? I've always wanted to go to Corpus Christi. Ohio. Maybe text. How should I network and look for? I missed that one. Wichita, Kansas. All right. Long Beach, California. This is crazy. Kentucky, Mississippi. What is up? How's the weather where y'all are at? Moscow Mills, Missouri. PA. We had somebody from Pennsylvania join the inner circle today.
I think that's most of the networking questions.
Florida.
They might be lost in there.
Go ahead and ask your questions again in case I got lost. Is that a good idea? I don't know.
Yeah, that's fine. Also,
Alabama.
just go ahead and
Idaho. Wrap it up.
email or DM anywhere if we missed your questions because we don't want to miss them.
Man, I'm jealous about this guy that's in Washington or in Wisconsin. He says it's 55 degrees. Golly, it's still hot in Oklahoma. It's cooler today than it has been. Okay, if you have any more questions, I don't see any more questions coming in, but if you have any questions about the inner circle,
Or other questions that we didn't get to answer because it wasn't about networking, send those over too.
any other questions, any questions at all, DM me on Instagram, email me.
We will put that in the description of the YouTube video and you can contact from there.
We will put the description, we'll put the link to the inner circle that we're talking about, I'm guessing?
Yeah, in your email if people want to email.
Okay, we'll put the link to the inner circle in the description of this video, of the YouTube video.
Yes.
And then these lives should save, right?
Yes.
We should save them to each platform in case you got in late and want to watch the whole thing, learn a little bit about networking. But yeah, email us if you have any questions, DM me. But thank you guys for joining me tonight. Y'all have a good evening, and we will catch you next time. See you Friday in Friday's video. Is that it?
I think so.
All right.
For now.